been complex, but the journey has been on, and the achievements and strides are unbelievable. We congratulate all those who have been part of this initiative, and we thank God that the day has come when the handover ceremony will take place. This handover ceremony indicates to us that we're going to be talking about accountability to those who have funded the initiative, the strides that have been made, the various capacity building initiatives that Spotlight has been involved in, the various stakeholders and collaborators. Isn't it wonderful to be part of a journey to end violence against women? Please note, if you do not already know, that this is a joint EU United Nations program. And the best SDG to help you unpack this is SDG 5, which basically talks about how to look after our women. For me, the greatest moments has always been when you find a he for she, a man who believes in this cause, who loves his wife, who loves his daughters, who has paid attention to what is going on in the world as regards women. And one of the other things that should matter to us is how our daughters are treated by other people when they get married, when they pick a husband, when they pick a friend, when they have a black eye, when they are trafficked, when they are sold into slavery, and when all those things come back to haunt us. When you do not look after the women and adolescent girls in your society, the society will begin to diminish. Nigeria is a big country, very big, like 5, 6 countries put together. There is nothing more beautiful than trying to end violence in a nation such as this. Nigerian women are very entrepreneurial, very hardworking, very forward-looking. Nigerian women continue to show the way within the African continent of how to be a woman and multitask, have children, still sell in a shop, still look after the husband, still rise in your career. Nothing can be more beautiful. I congratulate the EU and the United Nations today in this close-up session, and I welcome all of you who have taken the time this afternoon to join us to hear just how far we have come and how much we still need to do to get to the Rubicon. I congratulate everyone who has come to join us, and I ask you to give yourselves a resounding Abuja round of applause. Welcome. We have already seen in our midst the United Nations Resident Coordinator and the EU Ambassador, and we welcome them. We thank you all very much for coming, and indeed, this is a glorious day for Nigeria, because this handover is an important landmark in the Spotlight initiative. Just a couple of announcements that are informal. Today I'm being joined by Omini Oden, who is a broadcaster and head of communications for our very important agency on aging. Omini, perhaps you can give housekeeping rules at this time. Thank you.
Please, we can do better than that. Thank you so much. Thank you, Eugenia. For the housekeeping rules and security, please join me welcome Josiah Onu of Transcorp Hotel to handle that, please. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Transcorp Hilton. My name is Onu Josiah from Security and Safety Department. In this building, as you are here, if you are pressed, you want to make use of the convenience. Behind the staircase there, the convenience is there. Please, you can also identify our staff by their name tag and by their uniform. In case you need anything, you can approach them. Please, if there is any emergency, during emergency, do not use the elevator. You might be here or the main building. Do not use elevator. And all the exit door lead you outside. In case of fire emergency, you call 6125 or 6200 or 6432. In case of security-related issue, You call 6146. 6146. If it is a health-related issue, call 6420. 6420. And they should be able to tell our in-house doctor the nature of the sickness, if wheelchair is required, and so that they can be prompt to respond. Please, I know you are from different organizations or a colleagues from an office, been together for a long time. In security, we don't have friends. The next person sitting close to you is a suspect. Please wash your belongings. If you are going out to ease yourself, go with your belongings because they are very, very vital to you. Because if you say there is security in the Hilton and you keep your things, it will not really help us. Wash your belongings, and we will do that. Please, okay, if there is any questions, please let us know so that we can answer properly. Any question, please? Okay. Thank you very much. Enjoy your meeting.
Thank you so much. And we are told if you're packed, when you're about to leave, please check with the lobby. They'll give you a pass so that you don't get to pay when you're exiting the premises. Thank you very much. We recognize a couple of dignitaries who are here. From the states, we have some commissioners from the states here with us. In no particular order, the Commissioner for Information at Adamawa State, Neidu Kofulto. Shall we give the Commissioner a round of applause, please? Thank you very much. You're welcome. Honorable Commissioner of Women Affairs at Adamawa State, Winifred Anthony. You're welcome. Barrister Hawa Haliru, CEO, Nigeria's Governor Spouses Forum. You're welcome. Honorable Commissioner, Women Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, Lagos State, Honorable Bolaji Dada. Also in our midst this afternoon, join me welcome the Honorable Commissioner, Minister of Women Affairs and Social Development, Ebonyi State, Barrister Mrs. Felicia Nwangpamo. Also with us this afternoon is the Honorable Commissioner, Women Affairs, Cross River State, Mrs. Edema Irum. We have a couple of traditional rulers here with us, in no particular order. Join me welcome His Royal Highness Alhaji Muhammadu Idrissa Ibn Abali, the Emir of Africa and the National Coordinator of the Council of Traditional Leaders in Africa. Also with us here, we have His Royal Highness Dr. Haliru Yahaya Ndunusa, OON, Emir of Shonga in Kwara State and the Deputy Convener General of the Council of Traditional Leaders
ministerial departments, heads of UN agencies here present, honorable commissioners from Adamawa, Cross River, Ebonyi, Lagos, and Sokoto State, permanent secretaries from Adamawa, Cross River, Ebonyi, Lagos, and Sokoto States, our royal fathers here present, His Royal Highness Dr. Haliru Yahaya Ndansa, OON, the Emir of Shonga, and Deputy Convener General, Council of Traditional Leaders in Africa, His Royal Highness the Emir of Fika, the National Convener of the Council of Traditional Leaders in Africa, His Royal Majesty Ambassador Dr. Ochoa Anas Item, the paramount ruler of Abanliku local government area of Cross River State, civil society organizations and implementation partners of the joint EU-UN Spotlight Initiative, my sister, actress plenipotentiary, Joke Silva, who has been doing incredible work with the Spotlight Initiative. I welcome you. It's always good to see you. My Lord, spiritual and temporal members of the fourth estate of the realm, ladies and gentlemen. I'm absolutely delighted to welcome you to this all-important national event, which is the Spotlight Initiative Nigeria Country Program Handover Ceremony. I'm especially honored to be your guide today as gender-based violence spotlight, looking back to see how far we have come, achievements and major strides, and consolidating on the progress made so far, as well as looking forward. My name is Eugenia Abu. I'm a multimedia strategy expert. I'm a national broadcaster and a writer. But I'm not working alone today, Mr. Omini Oden. Please give him a round of applause.
Thank you very much.
The joint EU-UN Spotlight Initiative aimed at eliminating violence against women and girls and harmful practices and promoting the uptake of sexual and reproductive health rights and states and the FCT. There have been strengthening of engagements, buy-ins, and ownership of the project. Indeed, the Spotlight Initiative has had a momentous impact on Nigeria. When we stretch our hands, when we collaborate, great things happen, and collaborations expand our pace of activism against gender-based violence with a theme, Unite, Invest to Prevent Violence Against Women. Let me take a quick quote here as we proceed. Quote, "We are not here only to demolish discrimination, but to envision the benefits to the human race of integrating this forgotten half of humanity in development." Mr. Bandaranaike, Prime Minister of Sri Lanka, from the World Conference on Women, Mexico City in 1975. It's time now to invite my colleague, Omini Odem. Omini, I believe you have the first speaker.
Thank you so much, Eugenia. Shall we give Eugenia a round of applause, please? Thank you very much.
Having made those far-reaching comments and done my research work and been part of the Spotlight Initiative, it is a Nigerian event. And because it is a Nigerian event, we must, as duty, salute the nation. It's time. Standing for the Women's Anthem.
All around the world, side by side in true equality. So sing a song for women everywhere. Let it ring around the world and never, never cease. So sing a song for women everywhere. Equality, development and peace. Women can't be silent when all around the world people hurt and hungry children cry. We'll sing out loud for justice and development and hold the rights of other people high. So sing a song for women everywhere. Let it ring around the world and never, never cease. So sing a song for women everywhere. Equality, development and peace. Women now are working to build a better world, where the love of peace can rest on every shore. Where men lay down their weapons and learn to love and share, and people work to bring an end to war. So sing a song for women everywhere. Let it ring around the world and never, never cease. So sing a song for women everywhere. Equality, development and peace. So sing a song for women everywhere. Let it ring around the world and never, never cease. So sing a song for women everywhere. Equality, development and peace. All across the nations.
I agree.
I do agree. And I was told sometime that women means a refined man.
Oh, women means a refined man. I'm not going to contest that. I'm going to leave you with the next announcement of the first speaker of the day. But before then, shall we greet and welcome AIG Aishatu Abubakar Baju, first gender advisor to the Inspector General of Police, who has made it here this afternoon. It means the police is interested in matters concerning Spotlight Initiative. We thank you for coming, Omini.
Thank you. You're welcome. The Spotlight Initiative, world's largest targeted effort to end all forms of violence against women and girls. For a welcome address, join me welcome the UN resident and humanitarian coordinator in Nigeria, Mr. Matthias Shamole. Please, a round of applause for him. We can do better than that. Thank you.
Thank you very much to the two moderators. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a real pleasure to be here with all of you today and to greet you on behalf of the United Nations system. Now, after 5 years, all the key stakeholders involved in this second phase of Spotlight, well, in both phases of Spotlight, we've gathered together to close out and hand over this successful project. I will come back to the handover part because the question is, to whom are we handing over? Allow me to express gratitude to the following key partners that have made Spotlight a success. And this is somewhat in order of priority from my point of view. This project would not have been possible without the participating states, Adamawa, Cross River, Ebonyi, Lagos, Sokoto, and the FCT. You deserve this applause for being receptive and determined to drive change. I thank the governments in those states and the FCT for your leadership. Secondly, I would like to express my appreciation to the federal government, civil society groups, the women's movement, and youth organizations for your leadership and commitment to building a world free from violence against women and girls. Thirdly, I am of course very grateful to the European Union for the fantastic partnership we've had with you, for the support you've given, including in financial terms, and the strategic guidance. This is not just about money. Last but not least, of course, I would be amiss not to thank the many colleagues within the 5 UN agencies that have been a part of this: UNFPA, UNDP, UNICEF, UNESCO, and UN Women. Thank you for what you have contributed. I think we all know the initiative is so named, Spotlight, because it focuses attention on the issue of gender-based violence. It moves it into the spotlight from the shadows, and it places it at the center of our work, collective work to empower women and achieve gender equality in line with the 2030 Agenda and the SDGs. Our Secretary General Antonio Guterres said on the day of the initiative's launch a couple of years ago, as you know, it's a global initiative, quote, "When we shine a spotlight on women's and girls' empowerment, everyone's future will be brighter," quote end. Now, since its beginning here in Nigeria in 2019, I think it is fair to say we've made together a tangible difference in the lives of many in Nigeria. And let me give a few quick examples. The Spotlight Initiative has contributed to changing laws and policies. It has enabled almost 16,500 women and girls to receive vital services at its centers. It has made allies of traditional rulers and religious leaders. Thank you to those who are here in the room today. It has contributed to combating harmful practices. It has contributed to enhancing data collection and its harmonization, for example, through the Situation Room. Spotlight has supported the integration of one-stop centers into the health system and strengthened the voice of the women's movement. So I think it is fair to say that Spotlight has contributed to changing mindsets and changing lives, if not saving lives. Yet, many women and girls, as you know better than I, remain vulnerable to gender-based violence in Nigeria. Harmful practices like child marriage and female genital mutilation are still prevalent in many regions. So with Spotlight coming to a close, what is important is that we secure commitment to continue the impact I've talked about. And that starts with securing government commitment, starting at the federal level, towards sustaining and scaling up the successes, as well as instituting a budget process and fund releases for the one-stop centers. I wish we would have had some of the ministers involved here today so that they could hear these messages and be part of the commitment. Since they're not here, we will make sure that we seek a separate occasion to pass these messages. Because the momentum that we have created must be built on. The progress must be safeguarded. So the spotlight must stay on gender-based violence. Now, I said earlier that I'm wondering whether the term handing over is correct. In my speaking notes, I had the reference to the EU-UN Spotlight Initiative. I took that out because from the beginning, it's not been an EU-UN initiative. We've initiated something, as is said on this outsized banner here. But at the end of the day, it was Nigerian actors who've driven this, and we have supported you. So in a way, Nigerian actors, including government, are handing over to themselves. We're not handing over. We are, yes, I hope that does really deserve a round of applause, because that's what will make it sustainable. If government, if the women's movement, if traditional and religious leaders continue what they've done over the last 5 years, we in the United Nations remain committed to supporting you in this effort. So in that sense, we will try to contribute towards sustainability. So let me stop there. I know we are running against time. the effort to sustain the momentum needs everyone on board, everywhere, to join together to end gender-based violence, hopefully one day, once and for all. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed. We will end gender violence one day, once and for all. Mr. Matthias Tumale, UN Resident and Humanitarian Coordinator. Let's hear another round of applause for him. The really important point that he has made is a point that he has taken out EU-UN initiative and has therefore redirected it to the work that has been done that is momentous, was done by Nigerian actors, government, non-governmental organizations, and stakeholders and partners, traditional rulers and individuals who have pushed for the betterment of women in Nigeria. I've always said that there is nothing more beautiful than having a daughter. I've got 5. They're gorgeous. And once you have gorgeous daughters, you don't want anything to happen to them. And there are daughters that we have adopted that we did not give birth to, and I have thousands of them, who need us every time. And Mr. Shmale does not know it, but he is also an adopted father to many people that he has supported to get where they are today. I congratulate you in this government-to-government handover. And we're truly delighted that you are in the driving seat to help arrange that this happens today. We are also delighted to have a lovely woman in our midst who has been doing great work, and her organization has been in the forefront of this great work. Please help me welcome Her Excellency Ambassador Samuela Isopi, European Union Ambassador to Nigeria and ECOWAS, who is coming here to deliver her opening remark in this essential government-to-government event supported by the EU and the UN. Welcome.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, His Excellency Senator Atiku Bagudu, here ably represented by Director General Lange, representatives of other ministries, Ministry of Justice, Ministry of Women's Affairs, commissioners, religious leaders, representatives of the private sector. Today marks the end of a journey, but also, we hope, the beginning of a new one. And I'm happy to be part of this historic moment, of this historic and over from government to government. A round of applause, please. The Spotlight Initiative remains the world's largest effort and investment to fight against gender-based violence. The European Union, a convinced gender champion, launched it in 2018 together with the UN, and it funded it with a global investment of 500 million euros, because we are convinced that this is what is necessary to make a transformative change. Out of this 500 million euros, 25 million have been allocated to support the fight against gender-based violence in Nigeria. In Nigeria, the program has tested a new holistic approach that brought all actors together and allowed to achieve critical results. A record number of states, 35, have passed the VAP Act, making it the fastest bill to be passed at subnational level in the history of Nigeria. And congratulations to all those that have made this possible. Almost all states have also passed the Child Rights Act. I think this deserves a second round of applause. From 11 sexual assault referral centers in 10 states in 2017. There are now 40 SARCs in 20 states in 2023 as a result of a combined multi-actor and multi-donor effort. This is a huge progress since the first Mirable Center was established in Lagos more than 10 years ago. Justice is and will remain critical to end impunity for gender-based violence. And we are pleased that the Spotlight Initiative helped catalyze change. Following the example of Lagos, several states have established special SGBV courts, Adamawa, Edo, Anambra, the FCT, among others. I think this deserves also a round of applause. Nigeria has also established the first DNA forensic lab of the West Africa region in Yola, Adamawa State. And I wish to congratulate the government that has just made the decision to set up 2 more forensic labs in Abuja and Lagos. Thank you very much. The Situation Room set up at the Ministry of Women's Affairs is and will remain a key tool for data collection. The revision of the National Curriculum for Basic Education by the Ministry of Education to include elements of SGBV and sexual and reproductive health and rights. But more importantly, the Spotlight Initiative has tested a new way of working. First, through increased interministerial and interagency coordination. Second, the federal state level joint forces, resulting in the full mobilization of the Governors Forum and the Governors' Wives Forum. Third, the extraordinary multi-partnership and teamwork with civil society, with religious and traditional rulers, with the private sector, and with all the stakeholders. And I would like to commend all of them here today. This is a key moment for the future of the fight against gender-based violence in Nigeria. The closeout of the Spotlight Initiative is not the end of the fight. Today is the moment to look ahead and reaffirm the commitment to eradicate sexual and gender-based violence in Nigeria. Sustained high-level commitment will be crucial to consolidate the results and ensure that the VAP Act is implemented across the country, to ensure the provision for regular budget allocations to support the implementation of the VAP Act, but also to ensure the sustainability and functioning of all the services we have mentioned, SARC centers, forensic labs. It will be essential also to ensure increased access to justice for survivors through SGBV special courts. It will be important for all the stakeholders to remain engaged and keep the momentum. The federal government, the states, but also the National Assembly. We hosted here in this same hall last week a very successful parliamentary summit to reflect on the role of the legislative on this issue. The civil society, the private sector, the law enforcement agencies, the traditional rulers, and the communities. This coalition of forces, this alliance, and this new way of working is the key legacy of the Spotlight Initiative. We should not be lost. When we collaborate, when we work together, great things happen and change becomes possible. The EU will remain fully engaged through our rule of law and anti-corruption program implemented by our partner of International IDEA and through a new dedicated SGBD program. For the European Union, the 16 days of activism also mark the anniversary of our Gender Action Plan, a holistic new way of working also for us. Through this plan, the European Union will continue to prioritize women's rights and inclusion across sectors, from girls' education to maternal health, from women's economic empowerment to political representation. All those are essential. Let's remain engaged, let's remain united, and let's continue our journey together, because no women, no Nigeria. Thank you. And now I hand over.
Us to remain together to keep the momentum. Shall we give the EU ambassador a round of applause once again? We proceed, but before then, let me quickly recognize the presence of the Honorable Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, His Excellency Abubakar Bagudu, here represented by the Director, International Cooperation Department, Dr. Lanre Adekanye. Also to be recognized is His Excellency Mr. Walter Plumb, the Ambassador of the Kingdom of the Netherlands. For recognitions also, representatives of CSOs and implementing partners of the Spotlight Initiative from the Federal Capital Territory and the states. Shall we give them a round of applause, please? Also, Justice Raman Oshodi, Justice of the High Court, Sexual Offences Court. You're welcome, sir. Next on the item, for a reflection of the impacts and achievements of the Spotlight Initiative in the 5 focal states of Adamawa, Cross River, Ebonyi, Lagos, and Sokoto states. Let's watch this 5-minute video on documentary on Spotlight results and impact.
In 2019, the European Union and the United Nations joined forces in a groundbreaking mission. Their goal, to put an end to all forms of violence against women and girls.
The Spotlight Initiative is actually a global United Nations initiative to overcome, to fight violence against women and girls.
1 out of 3 women around the world have experienced some form of sexual and gender-based violence.
The collaboration created a lot of awareness. It supported us and it boosted our advocacy programs in program implementation in the ministry.
One of the achievements in Nigeria is that government has engaged fully.
It was difficult for people to speak out, but as a result of this initiative of this Spotlight, many people are speaking out when they have the gender-based violence and they have a place that they are reporting.
Before, if you talk about child marriage issue in Sokoto, people will say you are pushing the agenda of Western world. But today, even the parents themselves reject the child marriage.
The issue of stigma was very, very strong. But with this intervention, that is being broken.
This initiative has shattered the chains of poverty and violence by providing survivors with financial resources, entrepreneurship support, psychosocial care, and livelihood assistance.
I went through the training, shoemaking, and I'm doing very well.
I learned how to make hair.
Spotlight initiative have helped me a lot. I mean a lot.
I learned even how to be neat in my home, and more especially how to take care of my family.
Gaskiya ko na fara ban iya irin haka in rubuta ma mutum sako ga waya. Sannan ko irin haka na tafi asibiti ban iya rubuta ma kaina. To yanzu gaskiya ko asibiti na zo ko banki na zo ina iya in ga abin da an ka rubuta in fahimta.
Yanzu na san inda
an ka ci zarahina ko an ka ci zarahin wani na tare da ni an bani dama an faɗakar da ni kuma ina amfani da wannan dama na san inda zani.
Educating women is enlightening the whole society because it will give more opportunity for them to acquaint their children and try and pursue them and support them.
Education transforms life.
The majority of these girl children that were not believed to have certificates today hold certificates.
UNICEF has been strengthening the child protection system in 6 states.
We have been able to reach 200,000 girls in the country.
We've been working to eliminate all forms of violence against women and girls, focusing on prevention, support for survivors.
With the Spotlight Initiative, we've been able to sensitize 20 million people.
To address the need for reliable information, the SGBV Accountability Tracker was developed.
The tracker will really give an overview of what the contribution of all the agencies has been on the attacking of gender-based violence in Nigeria.
Whatever you do as a provider on that space to show, and it will go straight to the federal.
For the first time, we have disaggregated data across Nigeria that's really helping us now to tell the story on violence against women.
The initiative established a state-of-the-art forensic lab and surveillance team, ensuring the collection and analysis of crucial evidence to bring perpetrators of violence to justice.
With the aid of the forensics, we begin to see the impact. There are more prosecutions that are coming. I can tell you that compared to the last previous years where we are having 0 convictions.
With the Spotlight Initiative in Cross River State, a lot has happened, most especially in the life of the survivors. The first phase came, and that first phase did a lot by registering about 14,651 survivors. And we trained 150 facilitators, because we need to train the facilitators on how to handle these survivors. We also have 15,000 teaching and learning materials that were being given to us with the support of Spotlight Initiative. We also have 11,000 sat for an exam. We just wanted to test their understanding of what is being, taught. And also 200 mainstream to the formal school. We're able to mainstream 200 to the formal school. Those that, they have given up. But with this Spotlight Initiative, we were able to restore hope back to them.
With founding or without founding, since that we know the benefit that the Spotlight Initiative introduced to us, now we take that thing seriously, working hand to hand with our community leaders, and then we are continuing with the program at ease. And then I really know that since that we work for good 3 years now, moving to 4 years now, I don't think that there is something that will stop us, because with the surveillance and the community, they know the benefit of the program.
GBV survivors are now going to school. They're not afraid to even to speak out, because they know that there are people behind them. And now they are coming out, they are going to school. They are no longer ashamed because of the violence or because of the rape, and because of the help given to them by the UNESCO and the Spotlight. So many centers are springing up right now in the state. As I'm talking to you now, even in my own local government, in my own development center and community, we have 2 in there now that are still going on. So they have really done well in the state.
quickly eroded by the person causing the abuse, and everything looks normal, but that woman is dying slowly. And I believe the essence of the Spotlight Initiative is to put a searchlight on those things that unhinge women and prevent them from living a full life and being part of developing their countries. I'd like to quickly recognize and welcome the UNFPA Deputy Representative, Mr. Kuawu, representing UNFPA Resident Representative. Where are you, sir? Oh, there you are. It's good to see you. Welcome. Ms. Beatrice Inyong, UN Women Representative to Nigeria and ECOWAS. Welcome. Mr. Simon Ridley, representative of the UNDP Resident Representative to Nigeria. We also have in our midst the Commissioner of Police, Abibo, in charge of Mobile Force, representing the Inspector General of Police. I'd like to make welcome, and when I do this, she's a bit uncomfortable, but you know what, when women are rising, other women should clap. It's a great thing to see, and I'd like to greet and welcome my sister, Mandate Secretary for Women for the Federal Capital Territory, the lovely Dayo Benjamin Lani. You are rising, and we're very proud of you. Why not? We should be. And of course, we should also recognize the woman who lights up our screens, who has been involved with the UN Women through the joint EU-UN Spotlight Initiative for the launch of the Nigeria chapter of the Forum for Women in Film and Television International Network. The convener, the lovely, lovely Ms. Joke Silva. I didn't want to put you in trouble, but you know there are going to be young girls waiting outside because you're a role model to take photographs with you. Be ready. She's on television for as long as we can remember. SDG 5 talks about ending gender disparities, eliminating violence against women and girls' lives, eliminating early and forced marriage, securing equal participation and opportunities. It is now my pleasure to invite the representative of distinguished Senator Abubakar Atiku Bagudu, Honorable Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, in the person of Dr. Larry Adekanye, Director of International Cooperation Department, who is here representing the Honorable Minister. You may want to come up to the podium. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Very eloquent and ever-looking young MC. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, very distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellencies. Given the caliber of people in the rooms and different people that I'm seeing, I want to err on the side of caution, so I wouldn't want to recognize individuals. I would rather just say, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon once again. I'm standing here this afternoon to represent my Honorable Minister, His Excellency Senator Abubakar Atiku Bagudu, CON, who has been willing to be here. He wanted to be here. He had made every plans, but due to national assignment, he has asked me to deliver his remarks and to tender his apologies. But again, he did add that while finalizing the assignment, in case he has a little time, he will pop in and say hello to you. So we're still hopeful that he will be here in due course. But before then, I'd like to deliver his speech. It is my pleasure once again to say thank you all for joining us on this occasion of the closeout handing over of Spotlight Initiative. From implementation report of the Spotlight Initiative in Nigeria, it is clear that significant milestones have been attained, with the success story hinged on the commitment of stakeholders and partners to the eradication of all forms of violence against women and girls. In Nigeria, the Spotlight Initiative was birthed in 2018, as we heard from the EU ambassador, to eliminate violence against women and girls. It has witnessed an improved collaboration between the ministries of Women Affairs at the national and subnational levels on many fronts, namely the one-stop center that is currently providing services to survivors of the violence, the establishment of DNA Forensic Laboratory at the Modibo Adamawa University in Adamawa for investigation of rape cases and provision of evidences in Nigeria. And of course, this has also been complemented by the federal government with the establishment of one at the National Hospital in Abuja and another one in Lagos, as mentioned. So for us, this is a mark of government's commitment to eradication of the menace of GBV, and it is also being planned that other ones will be established in other zones of the country. There's also the Young Moms Clinic and the maternity waiting homes where pregnant victims are taken care of, as well as the situation room here in Abuja, which is equipped with digital tools to enable government decision makers and program managers view and analyze gender-based violence data with ease, among other things. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, with the implementation period of this initiative coming to an end today, for us, it is not coming to an end, it's the beginning, as we have been told. And we're not doing any handover, it is handover of government to government, as has been mentioned. So I just thought I should reiterate this and to say that with the way and manner government has demonstrated willingness, it shows that this is just the beginning of the journey. So it is important that the national stakeholders sustain the program's outcomes by mainstreaming its activity into other strategic and operational plans. Given that women and girls are agents of development and change in any nation, I want to assure you that the Federal Ministry of Budget and Economic Planning will leave no stone unturned in supporting similar programs that will help to sustain the outcomes and impact of the Spotlight Initiative in Nigeria. Finally, and on behalf of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, I'd like to appreciate the efforts of the European Union with a commitment of 5% of the world's global contribution of 500 million to Nigeria. It shows how relevant Nigeria is. Out of the world, we got 5% of it. So I want to say a very big thank you to our sister and my friend, Ambassador Samuela Isopi. Thank you very much, and we look forward to other ones. In the same vein, I also like to thank other stakeholders, too numerous to mention here, the CSO and everyone, for all the contributions and the support that we have received. And of course, in terms of sustainability, and according to my brother and the UN resident coordinator, Matthias Skimal, he just reminded us that it's not an handover. So we are very much ready, and we are sure that we'll leave no stone unturned in ensuring that everything goes well. So on this note, I want to say a very big thank you to everyone, and I appreciate you all, and have a lovely afternoon. God bless.
And Economic Planning, represented by Dr. Larry Adekoye, Director of International Cooperation Department. I'd like to thank you for making the time to be here to represent the Honorable Minister and for delivering such a forward-looking speech. Thank you very much indeed. This is the time when we need to speak to ourselves as individuals and as human beings. The Spotlight Initiative is the business of all of us. Again, last year, it was Orange the World. And today, I see Mr. Shumale carrying on his neck one of my favorite scarves. It's bright orange. I have a copy of that. You can see some highlights on my dress to indicate. And of course, the mandate secretary from the FCT is all orange, deliberately so. And the Lagos State Commissioner has an orange peachy headscarf. Quite a number of us are quite conversant with that. His Excellency the Ambassador is wearing an orange tie. There are certain things that are intentional. If you go to a school and the proprietor or the proprietress is not paying attention to the little girls in that school, all kinds of things can begin to happen. A little girl is groomed by a teacher, and before you know it, we begin to have rape. A little girl is groomed by an uncle, before you know it, something else is going on. A little girl is married off early, before you know it, some emotional distress is going on. A little girl is sold into slavery. Mentally, she's not coping. Because what can happen to a little boy sold into slavery is totally different from what can happen to a little girl sold into slavery. Completely different. A little girl who finds herself in a difficult situation and is encouraged to run away from home and lives under the bridge in Lagos has something completely different going on. These are the things that we face. What about the little girl who has become a big girl, whom I met many years ago at a training session which I lead? And when she started to speak, this training session is about encouraging you to be better, to be yourself. And she woke up, and when she came to the session, she said her father has never said to her, one, that she's pretty, two, that she's good enough, and he always told her that she was useless. At 30, and a brilliant journalist, she perpetually felt that she was useless. That's gender-based violence. Gender-based violence is when you marry a man and when you look at him, he says, "What are you looking at?" And all you hear next is a slap. That's gender-based violence. Gender-based violence is when there's genital mutilation and the woman begins to suffer from vesico-vaginal fistula and nobody wants her. That's gender-based violence. At different levels, the Spotlight Initiative has done incredible work in Nigeria. Let's hear a round of applause for all those who supported. Traditional rulers are key. And you saw, as you walked in, a roll-up that said, "Money for women abolished." That's a traditional ruler in Nigeria, doing great things in Nigeria. And our traditional rulers are the ones that hold our communities. Today, they're here in their numbers. Let's hear a round of applause for them. We visit them. They solve community problems. They get involved in marital issues, but they are also in the forefront of the Spotlight Initiative. And one man very much after my heart, within our traditional fathers spectrum, is His Royal Highness, Dr. Haliru Yahaya Ndanusa, OON, the Emir of Shonga, Deputy Convener General of the Council of Traditional Leaders, and a man who is a he for she. Help me welcome him as he comes up to deliver his goodwill message. I've met him severally in the journey that concerns women and how to make women have a better life, and he has always been in the forefront. We thank you, sir, for making the time to join us today and for giving us this goodwill message. Welcome.
I'm donned in the colors you expect me to wear. Beginning of the day of activism. Although the moderator failed to comment on that. Now this is on purpose, because our commitment in COTLA, Council of Traditional Leaders of Africa to Women Affairs, is immutable. Now, let me just say one or two things very quickly. It's quite, with all protocols observed, it's quite a great honor and privilege to convey a goodwill message on behalf of my fellow traditional leaders at the National Closeout event of the joint EU Spotlight Initiative, a very great initiative. This initiative stands as the most substantial commitment between the European Union and United Nations in addressing the pervasive issue of sexual and gender-based violence, SGB, not only in Nigeria, but also in various countries. I'm very familiar with this project. We've worked across many countries with it. We've gone to Malawi, gone to Ethiopia, gone to all under the auspices of this spotlight. So I appreciate what is done. The The national thing you're seeing here is really a tip of the iceberg. A lot of waves have been created across the continent. It's quite, the AU would give you real full jaws here on how much this has changed things around. LGBT remains among the most widespread human rights violations globally, impacting our society's socio-economic development, and conflicting with the values of human dignity, sanctity of life, and fairness embedded in our religions and communities. She has listed the gamut of issues that have gone into gender-based violence. The one closest to my heart has always been, in addition to other violations, the girl child. The girl child is pathetic when she gets subjected to it. You have a baby carrying a baby at 12 years or 13 years old, baby, that is the most damaging. A girl's future is blighted. A girl's future is blighted. She does no school, does not develop any economic means. She's perpetually dependent, and it just is a chain of events. And if we can really get the girl's child to school to 18, to me is one of my most, it's a hobby horse. And I hope we'll understand why. Like you said, it's FGM, mutilation, so many things. But that's not for me now. It's been highlighted already. Recognizing the harmful socio-cultural gender norms underlying GBV, we as custodians of culture and tradition have actively worked to transform practices perpetuating such violence. Our commitment involves community and social mobilization efforts, as well as establishment in our policies of safe spaces for the survivors. We've also been part of working local laws and legislation, and also of actually bringing some people to book. We cooperate with the police and other law enforcement agents. Now, I might just mention very quickly, we have a Pan-African organization called KOTLA, and it is a progressive, it's a group designed for progressive traditional leaders who really have seen the issue and want to come together and change issues at continental, country, and subnational level. And that KOTLA is the name, and many of us are part of it. It's a movement that's coming on, and we hope we've been working quite hard with the initiative. His Royal Majesty and Ambassador Dr. Amos Aitem, the paramount ruler of Obaniku local government area of Cross River, will share shortly an example of these concerted efforts made by traditional institutions to change norms. Unfortunately, fortunately, we're believed, we'll stay with the community. The politicians come and go, they make the promises and go. We can't make promises and go away, we stay there. So wake up to meet our promises. So we have to be factual with them. When they ask us, what we say is what we mean. Ladies and gentlemen, we express immense satisfaction with the impactful strides made by the Spotlight Initiative, fostering a movement of critical stakeholders dedicated to eliminating sexual gender-based violence across regions in Nigeria and globally. In alignment with this year's theme of 16 years of activism, I've won this, against gender-based violence, Unite, Invest to Prevent Violence Against Women. Let me reiterate our commitment to leveraging on our influence. We will actively sustain the achievements of Spotlight Initiative. It's a pledge, so we're anchoring whatever you're saying. It's government to government, but we are also going to help monitor what's going on. The initiative, by championing community mobilization efforts to tackle GBV, additionally, we pledge to use voices for high-level advocacy, contributing to ongoing efforts aimed at eliminating GBV. In closing, I will simply say, I wish to emphasize that a life free from fear and experience of violence is a social economic imperative. Fancy walking out without half of your with your labor. 50% subdued means your economy is going to lower. So you must liberate the women, get them freely to work, and contribute to the economy. It's actually in your own interest to do so. We owe it to ourselves and communities to ensure that we eliminate all forms of violence against women. One last word. Without SDG 5, there's no SDG. Thank you very much.
area of combating violence against women. We've heard from a man who has constantly carried the flag for women. We've heard from a man who is a custodian of culture. Let's hear a round of applause for His Royal Highness, Dr. Haliru Yahaya Danusa, the Emir of Shonga, in whose community I have been so adopted for many years. When you have an Emir who is forward-looking, like His Royal Highness, you know, of course, that as a woman, you would get all the respect that you require. We thank you so very much, sir. And I want to put on notice that we must all admire his regalia, which is a blazing orange for women today. We thank you, sir, for being intentional. Let me quickly recognize Alhaji Dr. Muhammadu Ibn Abali Muhammadu Idrisa, CON CFR, the Emir of Fika and Chairman, Yobe State Council of Traditional Rulers. We thank you, sir, for coming. We appreciate you. I'd like to quickly recognize Rona Khan, Deputy Representative UNICEF. He's in the room. She is in the room somewhere. The representative of UNICEF is female. The deputy representative of UNICEF is female. It's a great time to be alive. It's beautiful. We also have Teresa Botella, representing the Chief of Mission of IOM, Mr. Laurent de Buec. There you are. Diallo Abdurrahman, Head of Office and UNESCO representative to Nigeria and ECOWAS. Thank you for coming. My sister and friend who has been in the forefront of capacity building for women across Nigeria, Mrs. Amina Oyagbula, founder, chairperson, Women in Successful Careers, WISCA. It starts small. It starts from when they are young. It starts from when the boys protect the women when they have their period and gives them his jacket to cover her dress if she has a stain. It starts from a woman who understands that a boy is not necessarily the most brilliant in class when she's burning the tracks and making A's. It starts from not being bullied by a boy in your school. It starts from a school providing toilets both for girls and for boys. These are things that we take for granted, but there are schools where the toilets are for both boys and girls. Gender-based violence can start in a toilet. Toilets matter. Providing toilets, separate toilets for boys and girls matter. Some young girls stop going to school because their fathers don't want them to share toilets with boys. These are critical issues. Issues that, as you heard from the UN resident rep, is about sustainability. From the EU ambassador, is about carrying this program further. It's not about what we've done before, it's how to consolidate on how to go forward. And in the spirit of consolidation, students of GSS Giri, University of Abuja quarters are here. Let me see your hands in the air. There they are. Students of GSS Airport inside Nnamdi Azikiwe Airport are also here. Let me see you rise. These are the students. They are not the future. They are today. They are now. We thank you for coming. Thank you so very much. It's great to see all of you. Omini, you have the next issues on our agenda.
Thank you so much. Just before the next item, we'll invite for just 2 minutes the Assistant Inspector General of Police, Aishatu Abubakar Baju, First Gender Advisor to the Inspector General of Police for a goodwill message. Thank you.
He said, police usually don't like time given. We do at our own time. All the very eminent personalities here, the stand on the existing protocol for fear of modeling the protocol. So I want to stand on the already established protocol. Okay, this one. Okay, thank you. I bring you goodwill message from the Inspector General of Police, who stand very firmly against gender-based violence. The Nigerian police, as we all know, is the lead agency protecting lives and property in Nigeria, or the world over, I want to say, in collaboration, of course, with all other security agencies. And the Nigerian police has been very, very committed. I want to appreciate the efforts by the Spotlight Initiative, funded by EU and other organizations. We enjoy the support and collaboration from them to ensure that we conduct our duties effectively and efficiently. I want to assure this very important gathering that the Inspector General of Police, the management, and the entire officers, men and women of the force, are strongly committed to eliminate the menace of gender-based violence in our society. The IG and his management are putting everything in place to ensure that Nigerian police responds very efficiently to handling cases of gender-based violence. We are building capacity around our officers, men and women, so that they get all the necessary skills and knowledge that they respond effectively to, especially to survivors of gender-based violence. I've said on a couple of times, we have gender desk officers whom we have built capacity around in all the 36 states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory, specifically to respond to gender-based violence. Every crime that has to do with women, girls, and boys. Not that we're focusing on that. The Nigerian police is entirely interested in protecting the entire citizens, whether you're a man or a woman, but we have particular interests in vulnerable people in our communities. We are also in the process of reviewing our gender policy with support from the UN Women, who have always been there for us. And that document is meant to mainstream gender in the Nigerian police, to look at gender issues both within the force and our response to the public in terms of making sure that we deal with crime and criminalities around gender. With this, I want to reiterate the commitment of the Nigerian police in partnering, as the theme for this year says, unite. We can't do it alone, but in partnership with all critical stakeholders to ensure that we eliminate gender-based violence in our society. We thank you, all our development partners here present, especially the United Nations, the UN, for all the support that we have enjoyed from you and the partnership over the years in ensuring that the Nigerian police is well placed, positioned, and reformed in the right direction. Thank you, and God bless.
Thank you so much. That was the gender advisor to the IGP, the Federal Republic of Nigeria. The Spotlight Initiative, responding to all forms of violence against women and girls, domestic and family violence, sexual and gender-based violence, and harmful practices, early child marriage, trafficking in human beings, and sexual economic exploitation. While that was on, the Attorney General of the Federation and Honorable Minister of Justice, Chief Lateef Fagbemi, joined us. Shall we give him a round of applause? And also, most respectfully invite him for a goodwill message. Honorable Minister.
to leverage on the existing protocol, and I want to apologize for coming late. It would have pained me seriously if I was not able to meet you here. I was engaged in 2 other programs, and it will interest you that one of the programs had to do with gender-based violence. So I said I will bring the report here. I'm coming from the meeting of Attorneys General of the Federation. My position is that Nigeria being a federation, you can only, there is this misconception for people to think that what happens at the federal level happens at the state level. It is not always so. But in order to carry everybody along, in order to be able to replicate at the subnational level what happens at the national level, I feel that we should bring everybody together. So when I first came, what I did was to engage with the Nigeria Governors Forum to let them know that we need their support. We need them to show interest and replicate some of the good things that we have been doing at the federal level. So the next one will be to engage, and that's what we have been doing, the Attorneys General of the various states. Before then, I had been in touch with the leadership of the National Assembly. It is by so doing that I believe that any common front can be presented. So I want to say that, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I stand here as the Honorable Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, not just as a representative of the Federal Ministry of Justice, but as one of those, who is a member in this collaborative effort that has transcended boundaries and transformed lives. The Ministry of Justice has been a beneficiary of numerous programs under the EU-UN Spotlight Initiative, working in partnership with UN Women, UNESCO, UNICEF, and UNDP, especially through the various capacity building programs of criminal justice actors at the federal level and 5 other spotlight states. On the 3rd of October 2023, I attended a high-level state engagement on promoting rule of law as part of the UNDP intervention under the EU Spotlight Initiative, which brought together the commissioners of police and lead state prosecutors from around the country to examine and compile a comprehensive understanding of how the legal frameworks, judicial system responses, and public policies contribute to the perpetuation or resolution of gender-based violence. That event showed the power of bringing key government agencies together to ensure that they illuminate the path towards a future where every woman and girl can live free from any form of violence and discrimination. Furthermore, the ministry within the next few weeks will be launching a standard operating procedure funded by UNESCO under the EU-UN Spotlight Initiative. The SOP is spelling guidelines for determining and responding to SGV when it occurs in our schools. This initiative propelled further collaboration with key line ministries of women and justice to give rise to a more robust, real-time, and readily available data from the Situation Room, situated at the Ministry of Women Affairs and Federal Ministry of Justice. This is a responsive rule of law pathway that ensures the protection of victims and the prosecution of perpetrators. We have witnessed the strengthening of institutions, the empowerment of law enforcement agencies, and the establishment of support systems that embody the principles of justice, fairness, and equity. The dedication of the Ministry of Justice, the invaluable support of the European Union, and the expertise brought by our partners from the United Nations have formed a triumphant alliance that has surpassed expectations. The commitment of our dedicated staff, professionals from legal experts to support staff, have been nothing short of exemplary. Equally vital to our success has been a partnership with the entities as exemplified the power of international cooperation and the convening power of the United Nations to bring government to table in addressing complex challenges. The collaboration provided not only financial support, but also invaluable expertise and technical guidance. The United Nations, especially through its global program on strengthening rule of law and access to justice, anchored by UNDP, has enriched our efforts with insights and better practice that transcend borders. The Spotlight Initiative is drawing to a close today, so it is important to stress that together we have achieved milestones that were once only dreams. The strides made in combating gender-based violence, the empowerment of our law enforcement agencies, and livelihood support pathways for survivors of sexual and gender-based violence all stand as testaments to what can be achieved under the EU, UN, and governments unite for a common cause. As we celebrate these achievements, let us also recognize that the impact of our collective efforts extends far beyond the lifespan of this initiative. The seeds of change have been sown, and it is our responsibility to nurture and sustain the progress we have made. The Federal Ministry of Justice remains committed in upholding the principles of justice, equality, and human rights, ensuring the legacy of the Spotlight Initiative lives on the fabric of our society. The Federal Ministry of Justice is soliciting for more support and resources like the Spotlight Initiative to ensure that we consolidate on the work done around the SGBV and livelihood support for survivors. I would like to state that changing social norms related to SGBV is a gradual process that requires sustained effort and a multifaceted approach. While the short-term intervention may raise awareness, achieving lasting transformation often necessitates a longer-term commitment to addressing the root cause and engaging in diverse processes and intervention of change. I am of the view that what is happening is the effect of a fundamental cause, and you cannot be treating the effect in order to cure the cause. In closing, I extend my deepest appreciation to every individual who has played a role in this journey. The dedicated members of the Federal Ministry of Justice, our sister ministry, the Federal Ministry of Women Affairs, our very esteemed partners from the European Union and the United Nations, and every stakeholder who has contributed to this noble cause. Our work does not end here. It is a call to continue striving for a Nigeria where justice knows no bounds and where the light of equality shines on every citizen. I want to thank you for tolerating me. Thank you.
Thank you so much. If you take a listen to a news bulletin on radio, if it is too hard, you register what we call listeners fatigue. Same for TV. If it is also too hard, you register what we call viewers fatigue. With your kind permission, we want to just oppose the program a bit. We will take testimonials after the stage performance. Let us relax a bit.
I like Congo. Me, I like my country. I like the land of people. Everything is there for Nigeria. Make we join hands to make Nigeria better. Join hands to make Nigeria better. I like 'em, oh.